This weekend marks the push to the new year, 2013. Now, in preparation for that ball being dropped at midnight on January 1st, television shows, news stations, newspapers, websites, radio stations, you get the point. Each bombard consumers with their best of and worst of 2012. Yeah, the top 20 and worst songs, the best or worst movies of the year, the top or worst sports plays of the year, and the top or the worst news stories of the year. Now, when thinking of the best and ultimately the worst ofs, it got me thinking about the best and worst years of life. Right? Some years just seem better off than others. In our best years, we might feel that we've had the greatest gains emotionally or physically, welcomed some of the most precious things in our lives, or received some of the greatest news. And then there are those other years that are more complex, right, in which challenges might consume us, hardships overwhelm us, or negative feelings linger. Now, while I will not bore you with my top and bottom years, I will express that one of the most complicated times in life, and certainly for many parents, are the years between the ages of 13 and 16, beginning right around the time of the bar mitzvah. Right now, a bar mitzvah for a young lady, the bat mitzvah, is that coming-of-age ceremony for a Jewish adolescent, marking that bridge from Jewish childhood to Jewish adulthood. And many, which I might have said at my bar mitzvah speech, assume this to mean, today I am a man. Yet, for most 13-year-old kids, this step, rather than being closer to adulthood or spirituality, is smack dab in the middle of students' quote-unquote awkward phase. Right? Many don't realize this until much later in life, but looking back at pictures or reliving the memories from that time in life generates reactions such as, I wore that? What's up with my hair? I'm so embarrassed. What in the world was I thinking, or how humiliating was that? It's within these years when many kids try to establish greater independence from parents and teachers. Yet it's also in this age group when kids can be the most cruel to each other, they can be the most isolating, and they can be the most unforgiving of difference, of oddities, and of quirks found within their peers. And through this segregated teenage groups are solidified the cool kids, the jocks, the geeks, the hoods, the artists, and the loners, to name a few. Yet these divisions, which might seem innocent, are not isolated strictly to our youth. They become the foundation to segregating populations not only in high school, but more moving forward throughout life. Now, when this alienation by peers is allowed, it not only breeds feelings of inadequacy for the isolated individuals, but also lays the foundation for the perpetrators, that this behavior is acceptable through life. Now, why is this important in relation to Shabbat this week? In Vayechi, our Torah portion, Jacob, moments from death, calls his sons together at his bedside, and individually bestows upon each of them a lasting final blessing or curse. A blessing, for example, is given to Joseph, beginning, Berchot avicha, gavru al berchot horai. The blessings of your father surpass the blessings of my ancestors. To the utmost bounds of the eternal hills, may they rest on the head of Joseph, on the brow of the elect of his brothers. And a curse to Simeon and Levi, Arur apam ki az. Cursed be their anger so fierce, and their wrath so relentless. I will divide them in Jacob, scatter them in Israel. While there is no doubt some of the sons had their issues, including Simeon and Levi, whose decision to murder those in Shechem healing from circumcision was nothing short of despicable, the isolation of some of his sons is more than problematic. This withholding of affection creates feelings by those sons he cursed of uselessness, resentment, and desperation. And when individuals like Jacob's sons feel these emotions, this uselessness, this resentment, and this desperation, the result is usually not positive. Now, please do not mistake my comments as an excuse for criminals or individuals who commit heinous crimes, then blame society for their troubles. Rather, my statements are being made to make us more aware of how our actions, those which isolate individuals because they do not fit into our groups, to our social circles, or to our mold, can have adverse effects, most notably the advancement of intolerance, whether it's simply the division we find in teenage groups or those overarching in terms of race divisions, class, religion, sex, disability, or creed. So how can we confront the differences in others? Not by pushing them away, but rather by including and accepting them. Our rabbinic tradition teaches that the Rabbi Eliezer once said, "Never consider a blessing of an ordinary person unimportant to you." Never consider a blessing of an ordinary person unimportant to you. The statement suggests that we receive the greatest blessings in life not from individuals who we are most comfortable with, but rather in the most unexpected areas. The homeless individual on the side of the road, the disabled individual around town, or the individual you don't know sitting right beside you. Connecting to a famous concept in our biblical tradition, B'Tsello Elohim, this means that no matter one's standing, one's appearance, familiarity, or idiosyncrasies, humanity is not only created in the image of God, but within every person God can be found, even in the most obscure people in the most obscure places. When we internalize this concept, then act upon it by offering a hand to those in need no matter of their appearance, by welcoming individuals into our groups no matter of their standing, and simply by inviting the stranger near you to a conversation no matter how they look, the stigmas of being different and the feelings of isolation can be evaporated. And when we, through these steps and simple actions, remind ourselves that each of us holds a little piece of God within us, we can become a more accepting and more inclusive society. Shabbat Shalom.